tonight, chiefs from Meadow Lake Tribal Council make a plea for more policing in their communities. The U of S Huskies make final preparations for the Vanier Cup. And a full circle moment for Grey Cup champion Logan Furland.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Wednesday, November 19th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. I'm Ethan Williams. Thank you for joining us. Chiefs from several northern Saskatchewan First Nations say public safety needs to be improved in their communities, and they're demanding the provincial and federal governments step in. Helena Mahalik now with what supports northern Indigenous communities say they're lacking.
Leaders from the Meadow Lake Tribal Council say they need urgent support to improve public safety in their communities, asking for help from the provincial and federal governments to improve the policing presence up north.
We have 2,000 people and there's not a police force there. Why is that? Ask yourself, why is that?
Chiefs say violence is steadily on the rise. An increase of gang activity has upped addictions and overdoses, and an ongoing housing crisis is making things worse.
In our community, with up to 10, 12 people into a home, where does that young person go when he or she gets an argument with their parents? He has to leave the home or she has to leave the home. And guess who's waiting outside? Addictions, gangs.
MLTC eventually wants its own Indigenous-led police force. But for now, it wants the RCMP assigned to communities to improve response times.
When you have to wait 1 hour or over an hour for a call for a police officer to get to your community, it's unheard of in the city.
The chiefs want to talk with the province about using the recently established Marshals Service to help.
We want to fix a problem. And we're asking that government, RCMP, we come together and find a solution for a safer community.
In a statement, the RCMP says while it will continue to respond to calls in the north, a multifaceted approach is needed to solve the root causes of crime. The province points to its partnership with the feds to add community safety officers in 3 MLTC First Nations. It says that is already showing promising results. Helena Mahalik, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The man accused of shooting and killing a woman on a highway near Weyburn in September made a court appearance in Weyburn Wednesday, but there's still no decision about whether he'll be granted bail. Chris Fallman spent much of his hours-long bail hearing staring straight ahead with little emotion, never making eye contact with the roughly dozen attendees in court. Fallman is charged with second-degree murder and 1 count of intentionally and recklessly shooting a gun, endangering someone's life. The Crown is opposing his release. The bail hearing continues Thursday. Premier Scott Moe is back in Saskatchewan after a very short trade mission to the United States. Moe spent Tuesday in Washington. He met with members of U.S. President Donald Trump's cabinet, including Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Moe says he's pushing for trade talks between the two countries to resume and adds that Saskatchewan and the federal government are on the same page. Moe met with Prime Minister Mark Carney and Canadian officials before he left on his trip.
This is to some degree new with this Prime Minister. We didn't have that opportunity under the previous leader, and so we welcome that, and we welcome Prime Minister Carney's efforts to raise Canada's credibility in the international sphere.
Moe admits he did not get a clear answer on whether trade talks between Canada and the U.S. will resume. The NDP says it wants to see results, not just confirmation that Moe has met with U.S. officials. And the NDP also says a dozen residents of Denair Beach have shared their recent tax bills for cleaning up and rebuilding their homes after this spring's wildfires, and it amounts to thousands of dollars. The NDP wants a tax break for people rebuilding their homes destroyed by the fires. More than 200 homes were destroyed in Denair Beach alone. It says residents shouldn't have to pay PST on home construction.
This is downright shameful of a government. Premier Scott Moe, Tim McLeod, and the entire Sask party should be asking themselves why they think they need to take, per household, nearly $26,000 after they completely abandoned them this summer in northern Saskatchewan.
Earlier this week, after the NDP raised the PST break in question period, the province highlighted its support for wildfire recovery, which includes $30 million for debris removal and temporary housing. It says it does not support the PST break, saying PST is a tool that helps the province fund the supports already being provided to wildfire victims. Regina's mayor and the province's social services minister have announced an increase in money for a program to address homelessness. The provincial approach to homelessness will get up to an additional $20 million province-wide over the next 3 years. Regina is getting a $1.1 million increase. That will help Regina Treaty Status Indian Services, which currently operates 2 shelters in Regina.
The City of Regina has a cold weather strategy. And as part of that strategy, we will always expand to 5. So we've operated at 50. With this monies that were allocated today, we will go up to 55. And then we will continue to commit to the extra 5 spaces. So when it's minus 40, Ritz's, the New Beginning Shelter, would be able to have the ability to expand to 60.
Regina Mayor Chad Bashinsky says this money addresses a growing need for shelter spaces in the city. And Regina is also on the verge of a major change to its zoning rules. On Wednesday, City Council voted in favor of allowing manufactured homes to be added to all residential neighborhoods. The decision comes after dozens of manufactured homeowners lost their spaces at the Glen Elm Trailer Park earlier this year. They didn't have the option to move to other Regina neighborhoods. Manufactured homes or mobile homes will still need to abide by certain rules before they can be added to properties. Still, many councillors say it's worth it.
To me, this is a really positive step forward in terms of opening up our zoning and housing options. I found that the restrictive zoning that we had just limited what we are seeing now with modern manufactured homes as really great options for many families that otherwise might be priced out of other housing options.
The bylaw has one final vote before it becomes official. That will take place at the next City Council meeting on December 3rd. For the 3rd time in the last 5 years, the University of Saskatchewan Huskies are in the Vanier Cup. And the game is even more special as it's being played right here in Saskatchewan. Scott Larson has more on how preparations are going.
The Saskatchewan Huskies are going back to the Vanier Cup.
The U of S Huskies will go up against the Montreal Carabin, who won the Vanier Cup just 2 years ago. The Huskies boast a strong defense. Defensive lineman Charlie Parks, who's been nominated for U Sports Top Lineman of the Year, says the defense has what he calls a lunch bucket mentality.
We're just a bunch of tough, hard-nosed, like blue-collar guys, and that's our identity. And you know, that's just lets us. We play tough. We play like our identity, and yeah, that's just who we are.
The Vanier Cup will be fifth-year defensive back John Stoll's last game as a Husky. He's savoring every moment and expects a tough, grinding game on Saturday.
We got 12 dudes out there that really like playing the game of football and really like playing the game of football hard. And every week we just go in with that mindset that if they don't score, they can't win. So that's kind of what fuels us to get out there every week. And we know our O is going to take care of us, so we got to take care of them and do our thing. So that's kind of been what's fueling us.
Huskies setting up.
While this is the Huskies' 12th appearance in a Vanier Cup, they haven't won since 1998. That was head coach Scott Fleury's last year as a player. He says there are a lot of similarities between the 1998 team and this year's squad. Fleury says they have a core group of veterans and have been focused on this goal for the past year.
You know, go back to the first team meeting of this group in last January. All the hard work, all the early mornings, all the runs, the lifts, and the practices, and everything that we've been through. You know, we get a chance to put all that hard work on display on Saturday, and I know we're going to be ready, and I know we're going to take advantage of it.
The Huskies will again be without starting quarterback Anton Amandrud, who's undergoing cancer treatment. While he can't be on the field, he is still a huge part of the team. Running back Riker Frank says he's in daily contact with Amundrud.
I mean, he always texts me before every game, just to tell me to play my game. Really, his message to the team is just play our game. Our message to him is that we're going to play for him. So, a lot of love between us and that guy. So, we're going to play our hearts out for him for sure.
The Vanier Cup kicks off Saturday at 1 p.m. at Mosaic Stadium in Regina. Scott Larson, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Well, things are looking a bit more wintry in Saskatoon. The city woke up Wednesday morning to snow on the ground. Not snowstorm level snow, but enough to make the commute a bit more slippery. But don't expect this to be the snow that stays around all winter. Weather specialist Mickey Wolf breaks down our eventual warm-up when we come back. Welcome back. It was garbage bag day for the Saskatchewan Roughriders as they tie a bow on the 2025 season. A day for the team to clear out the locker room and start thinking about next season. Of course, the major question for the Riders over the next few months is the future of Trevor Harris. The veteran quarterback will turn 40 before the next season begins. There has been plenty of speculation about whether he will retire, but he addressed those rumors Wednesday.
I'd be shocked I'd be shocked if I feel like I turn around and say like it's a wrap, but maybe I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know. Just because I don't want to put any pressure on it, but I think I'd be shocked. I'd take that back again.
Harris says he ultimately needs to have a conversation with his family and Riders general manager Jeremy O'Day before he comes to a final decision. Other key free agents for the Riders offense includes receivers Samuel Emelis, Kean Schaefer-Baker, Keyshawn Johnson, and Dante Myers. But one player guaranteed to stick around is Logan Furland. The offensive lineman is still basking in the glow of Sunday's Grey Cup victory, and it's a victory that's a full circle moment for the homegrown talent. Jeremy Warren has that story.
Playing high school football in Melfort years before hoisting a Grey Cup with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, offensive lineman Logan Furland had a dream that he would end up a champion.
One of my former players who we were watching the game with shared that when they were all 16 years old, Logan talked about playing in the Grey Cup and playing for the Riders. You know, they thought it was kind of just in jest back then, but it's kind of, you know, now it's come full circle. So that's great.
The 112th Grey Cup champions, Saskatchewan Roughriders!
Born in Saskatoon, Furland spent most of his youth in Kindersley and Melfort. He's one of 6 Saskatchewan-born players that had just won a Grey Cup. There's also Noah Zur on the O-line, receivers Mitch Picton and Deshaun Mims, defensive back Jackson Ford, and long snapper Jorgen Hughes. Offensive coordinator Mark Mueller and offensive assistant Josh Donnelly are both from Regina. Furland gave the Sask crew a shout-out after Sunday's victory.
It's everything. This is all we wanted, that core group of guys that stuck together for this long. It's finally come, all our work's kind of finally come to fruition.
In high school, Furland wanted to be a defensive back. Rogers says he was a little too tall and gangly for that, but Furland got closer to the line of scrimmage every year and started at left guard on the school's 2014 Provincial Championship team. Furland often returns to Melfort for charity events or to help out the local football programs.
He's always around, and he's just a great person. I know it comes through in the interviews and stuff like that, but he's just a tremendous person. He's so real.
Furland saw his dream come full circle with the Riders and got to celebrate it at Tuesday's victory parade in Regina. He says the whole province will continue that celebration for months. Jeremy Warren, CBC News, Saskatoon.
And weather specialist Mickey Wolf joins us now, and I have to say, I'm not jealous, Mickey, of the fact that I woke up without the snow on the ground, but I know you folks in Saskatoon had a little bit to deal with.
We definitely had some snow to deal with today, Ethan. It was a very winter wonderland waking up in Saskatoon today, but you wouldn't know it quite from looking at some of the daytime highs we saw today across the province. Let's take a look at those. 5 degrees for Weyburn, 4 for Moose Jaw and Regina. You'd think it was still September today, but we had about 1 degree in Saskatoon, which means that snow might be on its way out by the time we hit the weekend. But let's take a look at some of those skies right now above the province. So we're definitely seeing that snow making its way out. The skies are starting to clear up a little bit tonight in Saskatchewan, zooming out for the week. Again, we're seeing that low pressure system moving out of the province, being pushed by that high pressure system. As we get into Thursday, again, a little peak of clear skies for the south, but then we're going to start to see some more cloud by Friday as snow and mixed precipitation start to touch a little bit of the north. And then for Saturday, things are going to start looking nice and clear again for most of Saskatchewan. Let's zoom in on that snow in the north. We're going to see a little bit of accumulation into Friday, and then overnight into Saturday, things will really pick up. We'll see 5 centimeters for Uranium City, but really the concentration of that will be in Stony Rapids for about 7 centimeters. We're not going to see snow over the next couple days for South and Central, but I just wanted to touch in on those morning wind chills. Going to be a chilly morning. It's going to feel like a chilly morning for Saskatoon and North Battleford, especially tomorrow, feeling like minus 17. And then looking ahead to our weekend, we will see a little bit of a final warm-up. I'm going to say it's a final warm-up by Saturday. Going to see a little bit of warmer temperatures. Taking a look here, mid-single digits Saturday in Regina, and then Monday and Tuesday, things really start to drop down. We start to get towards those normal temperatures for this time of year. We might even see 1 to 3 centimeters of snow for Regina. And in Saskatoon, it's a little bit of the same story. We might see some snow coming in Saturday. And then as we get into Monday and Tuesday, things are really going to start to drop down. Looking at minus 8 for Tuesday, we're going to see roughly 1 centimeter of snow Monday and Tuesday, and then those overnight lows again. Here, this is where I'm thinking about driving conditions as we see some of this slush starting to melt into Saturday and Sunday. A little bit of snow coming back again. So Ethan, by next week, we might be seeing more snow covering most of Saskatchewan.
Okay, so not only the bigger jackets and mitts, but the boots too, it looks like then.
Bring out the boots, Ethan. That's what I say.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Mickey.
Thank you.
Well, advocates in Alberta say they are ready to fight against provincial efforts to limit transgender youth access to sports and health care, as well as new rules around gender expression in schools. Danielle Smith's government tabled legislation that seeks to invoke the notwithstanding clause to shield 3 different bills from legal challenges. It's similar to Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe's use of the clause around his government's Parents' Bill of Rights 2 years ago.
As a government, we have a responsibility to provide clarity, a responsibility to protect all children and youth, and a responsibility to give parents, not institutions or courts, the primary role in life-changing decisions about their children. This government does not turn to the notwithstanding clause unless the stakes warrant it. And in this case, the stakes could not be higher.
Critics have panned the legislation, and multiple groups say they will challenge the legislation in court. That includes Egal Canada, which advocates for 2S LGBTQ+ people. It's the same organization that's partnered with UR Pride to take the Saskatchewan government to court over its policy. Canada Post could cut its workforce by almost half in the next decade. The Crown Corporation held its annual meeting on Monday. Its CEO says about 30,000 workers will leave through retirement and voluntary departures by 2035. Canada Post is struggling to modernize its service. It posted more than $1 billion in losses in the first 9 months of this year. That's due in part to fewer letters being sent and greater competition for parcel delivery. Contract negotiations with mail carriers have also dragged on for more than 2 years. 55,000 carriers remain on a rotating strike heading into the holiday season.
Can't get it out. Flames keep it in. Bedard, long attempt at the empty net. Bedard, hat-trick scores.
Well, the NHL hasn't seen this since 1944. 2 players aged 20 or younger scoring hat tricks on the same night. Connor Bedard for Chicago, a familiar name, of course, and Macklin Celebrini for San Jose. Both players bolstering their case to make Canada's Olympic hockey team. That roster, by the way, to be revealed in a little over a month. Stay with us. We're back after the break. Welcome back. On the heels of all the football success our province is having, Regina's school divisions have announced a new joint initiative to get students involved in football. Under the guidance of educators and coaches, the Regina Football Academy will allow students in grades 9 to 11 to participate in elective classes that are based in football-oriented education. The program is a cooperative between the Regina Catholic and Public School Divisions and Regina Minor Football. It's being developed to keep football players engaged in both their education and their chosen sport.
What is always forefronted of our minds is the achievement of our students. And when we talk about that, graduation rates, which is a provincial education plan, that is one of our main goals throughout everything that we do. Key with graduation rates, key with achievement is engagement. So whatever we can do to better engage our students, both with their athletics and their academics, and combining those two, that's the perfect formula to move forward with.
The program is currently in its early development stage and is set to start in the second semester of the 2026-27 school year. And Mickey's back now to tell us if any more snow is on the way in the immediate future.
Well, maybe not tonight, Ethan. Maybe not tonight, so you can put away those parkas for the time being, but let's take a look at some of those overnight temperatures tonight, maybe making things a little bit sloppy on the roads for folks in Saskatchewan, in Saskatoon. We're looking at -10 overnight tonight, so with some of that slush hanging around in the central region, just be careful out there, folks, if you're on a drive this evening. In the north, temperatures around that -10 region for the far north, and a little bit warmer down in the Churchill region. As we look into tomorrow, things will be a little bit cloudier in the morning, and then by the afternoon, we'll start to see some of those clouds breaking up for northern Saskatchewan. And for the south and central regions tomorrow, again, we've got a cooler feeling start than some of those temperatures we see on the screen right now. But then as we get into the afternoon, we're going to see things warm up a little bit. We'll see some sunnier skies, so it's not quite time for snow just yet, Ethan. We've still got a few more days of mostly sunny weather for south and central Saskatchewan.
Yeah, any day in November spent above freezing is a good day, I think.
I think so too, Ethan.
All right, thank you, Mickey.
Thank you.
And that is our news for this Wednesday. For more news, you can head to our website or subscribe to our YouTube channel or download the CBC News app on your smartphone or tablet. Thanks so much for watching.